Right. And,
All right.
okay.
I'm Rob McCulloch here with Patricia Shott. She just escaped Hamilton County guardianship, and this is her story.
Right.
Pull
Well,
this on up here.
okay.
We'll get your story, Patricia.
And,
Okay.
and
There we go. There, you're beautiful. All right.
I didn't get that. It was yesterday, Wednesday. Anyway, in September of 15, I was taken to Jewish hospital, and my nephew was orchestrating everything toward me being put away, and his two sisters. Now, they got connected with Elise Wells, the social worker at Jewish Hospital. And the social worker was connected with Lou Seiler. And the record shows that Elise Wells contacted Lou Seiler and told him that I was had a home and so on and so forth, had assets, and Lou Seiler said he would think it over. Oh, that's my son. You can't just stop it now. I'll just be a minute though.
Okay.
Hello? Yeah, hi. Oh, Rob's here filming this. I have to go. Yeah, okay. No, I'll see. I'll find out. If he can, he will. If he can, he will. Oh, Matt wants to know if you could pick him up. But
Sure. Anything.
yeah, okay. But let's do this part, this film. He's got the film rolling. He said he'll try. Yeah, okay, be ready. All right, bye. Yeah, my son, he wants to tell his.
All right, go ahead and finish your story then.
Sorry, okay, then.
So she
the
called
record,
Lou
the
Seiler.
hospital record from Jewish shows that Lou Seiler got together with Elise Wells, and he contacted Betsy Lippett, the social worker with University Hospital. And Betsy Lippett was running the Mobile unit, the Mobile crisis team, and she's connected with Lou Seiler. Now, Lou Seiler, it's on the record at Jewish Hospital, Lou Seiler discussed my assets while I was in the hospital, at Jewish Hospital. He discussed my assets. He said that he looked into it, and he said he talked to my son, who was there in the waiting room, and my son told him that the house was in his brother's name. His brother died, and it was in court, and it would be turned over to me. Well, that was a lie because my son didn't even know that. He didn't know the details of it, about that was in court or anything about it. But he discussed that at early stage. This was September of 15 in Jewish Hospital. Then that I was discharged September 28th from Jewish Hospital, and my nephew picked me up. This is the one who's orchestrating this with the social workers. And he said that, quote, I wasn't supposed to be discharged. He seemed very annoyed by it, and he said that the mobile crisis team had been driving around, and they saw me lying in my own urine. And I remarked, she can see through walls, because I couldn't make sense of it. And so the following day, September 29th, I was lying down, and I had just had a shower, and my son was watching TV, and my nephew let Betsy Lippett in with the key that I had hidden for emergency, and he let her in. And she was with the Wyoming police, and they had orders to pick us up on a, quote, psychiatric whatever. And they took me and my son both from our home. And my son objected, and he said, I thought you couldn't do this, and why are you taking me? Anyway, and Betsy told him that he was, quote, psychiatric, so he had to go there. And the police hit me, and the ambulance people hit me because I was protesting being pulled from my house. And I told them I needed to call an attorney, and they said I could do that when I got to the hospital. And they claimed that I left Jewish Hospital, AMA. And when I gave them the proof that I did leave AMA, then they switched it, it's in the records at University Hospital, then they switched it to say that the hospital knew I was going to leave AMA, so they went ahead and wrote my prescriptions for me. Now, Jewish Hospital says that I was not discharged AMA, I was discharged normally, and my prescriptions were given to me. My doctors were with Jewish Hospital for many years, and my son passed away there, my older son, and he was a patient there many times. My other son was getting chemotherapy there, my son Matthew, and knew everyone. And my husband passed away there, and he was a patient of Dr. Magenheim, who was chief of staff at Jewish Hospital for many years before he passed away. So Jewish Hospital has always been level with me. I didn't have any problem, and they insist I did not leave AMA. What's more, they said if I had left AMA, they wouldn't have come after me. I simply maybe wouldn't have been covered under my insurance. That's the worst that would have happened as far as they knew. But they said they certainly wouldn't have had me taken to a different hospital, which was University Hospital. They had me taken to University Hospital. That's where they took me, because that was the Betsy Lippett connection with Lou Seiler. Then we were at, on the 29th, September 29th, 15, they took me, the mobile crisis took me to University Hospital, and they gave me 3 medications. I never had any of them. Haldol, Percocet, and oxycodone. And I might have been talking out of my head. Dr. Patel was a party to it as well. He's a doctor with University Hospital. And I never actually met Betsy Lippett. I wouldn't know her if I saw her. And let's see, what else about that when we first got, and they put me in the psychiatric ward, and I was in restraints, and someone hit me again, and I have the proof. I have a diagram, I guess you'd call it, of a body, and when I was taken to Oak Pavilion, the first nursing home, and it shows it's in handwriting by a nurse that she signed where my bruises are, where I was in the restraints and I was hit, beaten. And that's the only time in my life I have ever been hit, except by my sister, who was 2 years old, 2 years older than me, and we used to fight. That's the only time I've ever been hit in my life. And So I, I contacted, I had my son, I couldn't use the phone. I had my son there who they admitted. They told him again he was psychiatric, and they admitted him. And I told him, got word to him to call an attorney named Paul Comerick to come and get us out, and we would give him power of attorney. And it's in the records where they eavesdropped on Paul Comerick. They eavesdropped on his phone call and on his conversation with us. And they acted as if he was the villain, and they wouldn't witness the power of attorney. So he had to leave. But they acted like he was up to something, but then they got in cahoots with my nephew and my niece. And incidentally, my nephew is a convicted felon, drug dealer, and he has done this in the past. He has had people committed in the past, and so has my niece, Mary Slauson. And that's in the records, that they were saying that I had lost my mind for 2 years, and well, do I need to say what all the records say? I
No,
need to say that
just
now.
whatever you feel,
Right, okay.
because this is serious.
Yeah, and it's in the records where they claimed that I was obsessed with my ancestors. I talked about that all the time. They said that I was OCD, I was paranoid, I was and that my house was unkempt is the word they used, and on and on. I can't think of anything else right now about them at that point. So I didn't know that. They were doing all that behind my back with Lou Seiler. Now, my insurance, incidentally, my insurance paid Jewish Hospital every penny that I owed for myself and for my son Matthew, and my insurance paid University Hospital everything for my son and for me, and they paid the doctors, and they paid for the hospital, every bit, all of it, because my insurance was current. And I had, they claimed that I was demented, but I had written checks, for example, to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield for the two of us, with the policy number on it, the amount on it, and the name on it, and I had funds to cover it. Now, so I was competent. And now all the other checks that I wrote to for the utilities, for the phone, everything. And so I was insisting I was competent, and what was I doing there? And I said, "Why are you hitting me?" And the one nurse said, "Because you're combative." Well, I certainly was combative, but it really was, nightmare doesn't even cover it. It really was truly a nightmare. And I kept asking where my son was, and that we wanted to leave. They said I had to go to a nursing home for rehab. And so then I wound up in Oak Pavilion after many more incidents at University Hospital, but then they sent me, against my will, to Oak Pavilion. Dr. Patel was there as well. There he was again, from Dr. Patel from Pakistan, the one who gave me that medication to start with. And he started that same medication again at the Oak Pavilion. And the Oak Pavilion told me that if I left, a guy named, the DON named LaVille, who's now with Communicare of Clifton, he told my son and he told me that if we left, they would call the police. And I knew they could do that. And so we couldn't leave. We couldn't go back to our house. Now, my insurance paid for 90 days at Oak Pavilion. My insurance is still good, and it paid for 90 days at Oak Pavilion. So when the 90 days, they held me for 90, and when the 90 days were up, then they started proceedings to take my home and everything in it. They took everything in it. I had no clothes. I had a robe on that I wore when they pulled me out of bed. I had a robe, and I stepped in my bedroom shoes, and I still have them. That's what I had on, and I had no clothes. My son had no clothes, and they went into my house and took everything out, and they used Craig Lytle. Craig Lytle is thoroughly unscrupulous, and they won't give me the statement of what they sold and you know and what they sold or what they took, and so we're in the process of trying to get that. My ex-guardian is trying to get that, but Craig Lytle is protesting and saying that he will only give it to Lou Seiler, who was my guardian at the time. But they took everything in the house, and Craig Lytle, when I called him for the statement, since I've been here in this facility, when I called him, he said, "You're goofy," and he hung up on me. So it's been abuse, 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 all the way. And the problems in a nursing home, then they separated my son from me with a vile lie. A lie that's so vile, it's hard for me to even repeat it. I didn't even want my son to know they had said such a thing about me. They accused me of trying to rape my son. And when I was showing him how in the Pleasant Ridge Care Center, and that nurse, I have that nurse's name, it's Elise Cougar, I believe, but I have her name. And I introduced her when she showed up here. I introduced Brandon Zoller to her and told him that's the nurse who put the ankle bracelet on me and the wrist bracelet on my son Matt. And she's the person who went to court and swore under oath that, and perjured herself, that I had tried to rape my son. When actually I was, and she knew it, I was trying to show him, standing up, how to cut or tear the depend off to keep from dragging it over his infected toe, which one had been amputated at the first facility. One had been amputated under Tara's care, under Lou and Tawn's care, mind you. A toe was amputated, his great toe. Then the toe next to it got infected. And I was showing him not to pull his depend over that toe because it was infected. And they turned that into, and they had someone guarding us there at the Pleasant Ridge Care Center from, I believe, from the assisting hands. They had someone, I wasn't allowed to go in his room, he wasn't allowed to go in my room. And my roommate there, Carolyn Stallings at the Pleasant Ridge Care Center, told them that Matt didn't cause any trouble, and that, you know, she intervened and told him that he just watched her TV that you could see from my spot. I wouldn't even call it a room. And Lou Seiler, second time I saw him, he brought an ice cream sundae around to his subjects. And, you know, of course I didn't eat it, but I thought that was very strange. An ice cream sundae. So that was how I would see him. Also, Lou Seiler purchased two graves, one for my son and one for me, and services. with white funeral home services, graves at St. Joseph Cemetery. Now, I already had graves next to my father in Arlington Cemetery. So to this day, I have 2 graves. My son has 2 graves, and we have 2 services. The services alone are $7,000 a piece, plus plus the fee for the. I have the bill, but the fee for the graves at the St. Joseph Cemetery.
Miss Pat?
Yes,
I've got a newsletter here for you.
Oh, okay. Oh, thanks a lot. We're popular today, aren't we? We're, yeah.
Go ahead and finish, she'll come back.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
So you're taking, he has you with another cemetery like you do your need. And keep going on. I know that's just the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much, but right, we still have them. He was told to correct it, and he was told by Arlington Cemetery, a lady named Vi, who's trying to handle it for me, trying to help, because she knows we have graves at the Arlington Cemetery, next to my son, who passed away in 2013, and next to my father. Well, so Lou Seiler was told, and he did nothing about it. He hasn't corrected it, as far as I know, to this day. We still have the other grave and all the services. They even have flowers billed to me, everything. Like I said, it's in excess of $7,000 for the white company, and it's more with St. Joseph. A piece, that is, of course, a piece. So that's what, and he's been, as I said, he was told, and Tawn Fichter was told, and she did nothing about it to correct it. And I said, I can't die until that's gone, because that might put me there. And I've never stepped foot in the white
You want to be with your family.
funeral home. Right, in the one I have, of course. And it's in the cemetery told me, or rather the white people told me, funeral home told me that it's in an annuity, so they can't refund it. I know nothing about an annuity, but that's in the record. I have all the papers about it, and it says that Lou, as far as I know, he got paid. I don't know how it was, but there's this network of people that lead up to or back, or whatever you want to call it, to Lou Seiler and Tawn Fichter and Tara. There's a network of people, and I have their names. It's everybody from, like I said, the funeral home, the cemetery, well, I have the list. I have the list written down of all the people along the auction, Craig Lytle, let's see, who else now? I'm getting a little bit tired, but let's see.
Do you feel like Hamilton County Court helped you at all, or did anything good for you?
Oh my God. It's the most egregious.
What judges and magistrates do you know besides Kendal Coes and Ralph Winkler?
Do I know?
Now, Kendal was really smiley
Right.
when he let you off. Was he like that before?
No, on the contrary. No, he seemed bored, annoyed, and he kept tapping his pencil the other time. And incidentally, I never had a lawyer. No one told me. I never had a lawyer. And I was told by attorney Mike Fletcher, who's a mortgage company lawyer, but I've known him, he's been a friend of our family for many years. He insisted when I was in Oak Pavilion, you're not going to lose your house. Well, I kind of did.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't him, of course, who did it. But he just figured that I wasn't going to. It was protected. It was to go to me, with my son. And I never signed a deed. I said, how can someone buy my house without a deed that I signed. So, what else can you think of? I mean, there's so much. And I had the, as I say, I had the ankle bracelet on. That was supposed to be, I don't know why, to protect me from Matt, or for Matt to be protected from me. I don't know what that madness was. But it's the worst thing. I have a good reputation. I did have a good reputation, and as an upstanding person. And the only thing I had in my whole life, I'll be 86 in May, the only thing I had 2 jaywalking tickets before I was 19 years old. So I cut that out. Right, I did. I actually had on Gilbert Avenue and downtown. I never got another one because it really hurt to pay that fine.
Yeah.
But
So
that's the extent of my record.
so and after all your house is gone and everything, now you're
And everything in it.
now you're competent, and they let you go. Is that what happened?
Yes, that's right. That's more or less right. Now I'm competent. So, and I understand you don't get undemented. They tell me that.
Well,
They
did
tell
you
me
think
that.
the drugs that you were on had anything to do with?
Oh no, the drugs were after they.
Right.
Oh no.
Did they help you at all? Or?
Oh, I didn't need. No, I resisted the drugs. It's over.
Because I'm curious, there are 2 opioids there. It sounded.
But it says right.
Yeah.
It's true. It says in there over and over, patient denies pain.
Mhm.
So what was I given those things for?
Now, why do they still have your son? And because he doesn't have any money either, but.
No, I can only speculate that the one thing I think they're in fear of being exposed more, or it could be because they think they want their hot little hands on the lawsuit, proceeds of the lawsuit, if there are any, the wrongful death lawsuit. But, with Eric Dieters, for my son against Christ Hospital. My wrongful death lawsuit with Christ Hospital. I think that they want that. They're without a doubt, I think, probably the most greedy people that I ever encountered. And they're just shameless about, they didn't even bother to bring, Tawn Fichter brought 5 pieces, and I have them right here in this room, you can see it, 5 pieces to me from my home. 5. That painting over there and a few things. The rest were, they took.
So do you think Ralph Winkler and Kendal Coes are good judges? Did they do a good job for you?
Horrible,
Horrible?
horrible.
They're
I
up for
didn't-
election. They're up for election coming up here. Would you want anybody to vote for them?
No, but
Would you want anyone in your situation?
they're corrupt. I'm going to come out and say it, they're corrupt. And if they're not, I tell you what, and I've told the court that, the probate court, I told them not to go, but whoever worked there. I said, if Judge Winkler doesn't know what's going on, shame on him. And if he does, shame on him. Any way you put it, shame on him. He's supposed to know. He has his picture made in the opening game for the Reds a couple years ago, things like that, and he has his picture made with adoptions and everything. While people are being, destroyed. Their lives are being destroyed left and right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's worse. And and when I kept saying, I called pro seniors, everybody, and my niece contacted everybody. Pro seniors told me I needed a lawyer. Well, you know what I said? I said, duh.
Yeah.
Where are they? So, I mean, you just can't get anywhere
Right.
against them. You
Yeah,
can't.
did Ralph Winkler even help you in any way, or Kendal Coes, any of them? In any which way?
Oh, goodness, no. On the contrary,
Right.
no. And Dan Whiteley, who's an attorney, was, found all this through the grapevine, on a computer or whatever, my niece did, that went on, that Dan Whiteley, who was a friend of ours, I mean, a really good friend of my husband. He was younger than my husband, but my husband supported him, you might say, for like a couple of years. He didn't have any clients. He didn't have any business. He didn't have anything to eat or feed his family, and my husband helped him. Well, he turned his back on us. He turned his back, because nobody wants to go against the Seiler machine. Nobody. It's not worth it. He finally has a job, Dan Whiteley. Hope he sees this. Dan Whiteley has a job. And he was made my guardian ad litem. And I don't know what nobody really told me what he's supposed to have done. But then they said, well, he's supposed to look after your assets and keep Lou Seiler from getting them. Is that, I don't know. Guardian ad litem. I don't know, what his role was.
Did it work? Did you?
And he got paid.
Yeah.
By the
So
court, of course.
how are your assets doing at this point?
Well, I think I have 20-some thousand in a trust. I think. I heard
Everything
that.
else is going?
Oh, yeah. My house, and that's another thing that's peculiar. My house was appraised by the taxes for $265,000, which it would have sold for $300,000. Now, they sold it for, I think, $150,000. I don't know what that was about. I don't know, what happened there. That's another thing. They're in with the realtor.
My mom's house was sold for $80,000 and flipped for almost double
Oh,
within
Yeah.
I'm sure almost a year.
oh.
Flipped for almost double. So yeah,
So
I believe you.
So I don't know what the point was. Another thing, Tara McAllister was paid a lot of money, I forget the figure now, to clean my house, clean it. She cleaned it all right, she cleaned it out. But Tara McAllister rented 2 dumpsters from Rumpke and billed me for $600 a piece for those dumpsters. And I said to her, with my money of course, I paid for them, 2 dumpsters. Well, I said, what did you throw away? What did you put in 2 dumpsters? And she said, well, there was a storm and there were a lot of sticks. I mean, that's really spreading it on thick. Sticks, first of all, Rumpke rather doesn't take sticks in the dumpsters. They have to be bundled and put out on the curb, and Wyoming picks them up. And you have to call them for special pickup for that.
So you suspect it wasn't sticks they were throwing away?
No, it wasn't.